Hello and welcome, my flim flam clim clams. How you doing today? It's Chris here. I'm kind of angry actually. I just made this really awesome 36 frickin' minute video for you guys, talking about the gameplay, having a delicious time, and it broke. Actually, surprisingly, it wasn't the video that broke. It was actually the audio that broke, and that's why I can give you guys this nice, cool-looking video right here. Audacity almost never screws me over, but for some reason, while I was talking, the waveforms were actually being created. If you guys ever have seen the waveforms, I actually saw them being created. But then when I stopped, it was just a flat line, like they weren't being created anymore. It was really weird that they were getting like erased or something like that the RAM was like getting not used or something. I don't know. It was really goofy. So, anyways, I'm going to re-commentate this, but I'm going to do it in a sped up version instead. I don't know. They're talking for 36 minutes can be a little difficult right after I just talked for 36 minutes. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of recap what my last video was about, because this is sort of like a two-parter type deal, and then I'm going to kind of move into my sort of talk about high school basically, and like kind of what high school was like for me, I guess, or at least some of the more loserish parts, I guess. So the crazier things that happened to me. So in junior high, I would say that I wasn't super popular or anything. Like there was definitely like the more popular group of kids, but I definitely wasn't very much of a loser. I got through to a couple people. I made friends with a couple people. The first time I actually hung out with somebody was in seventh grade. My friend Joe and me, we had a class together where we had to do a project. So I went over to his house to like work on the project, and that's kind of how we became friends. Basically, was I had fun over there, and that's actually, believe it or not, he's the guy in seventh grade. He was the one that after we hung out a little bit, he made me my AOL account, or Super John Bombo. We made up that name together, or I made up the name and he made the account for me. So that's how it got started, though. But anyway, so it was like basically one of my first friends in junior high, though. But I wasn't that much of a loser. I actually had a decent amount of friends and everything. I had a good time in junior high. But then for some reason, high school was not quite so kind to Chris. And I think one of the main reasons is that I was really small. I was as a freshman. I was less than 5 feet tall, so I think it was a 4'10", 4'11". But I was hitting puberty, so I was like starting to grow. If you guys don't know, I'm like 5'11" right now. I might be 6 feet. I don't know. If it could be argued, but I'm probably closer to 5'11". So I was really small. I was really freaking small. I was not strong. I didn't look strong or anything like that. Like I was a freaking stick. I was probably 60 pounds or something. So when I walked into this high school, everybody was like, "Oh my god, everybody's so freaking huge," and like all this other stuff. It was scary, you know. But um, I do remember very specifically. I had to go to the high school to this like opening day kind of thing, like before classes actually started or anything. And I went with my parents, and I kind of got my schedule. I picked up a hoodie, a high school hoodie. I picked up some of my gym clothes and stuff like that. And I got to see where my classes were and where the lunches were and stuff like that. So it wasn't that overbearing on the first day to figure out where the heck I'm going. Anyways, I talk to my friends, which I have like 7 friends. I think at the time it's closer to like 5 friends where I consider them my friends. You know, there's some acquaintances and people that I like know and stuff like that, but like I only really have like at the time I only really had like 5 or 6 like friends. So I talked to them and I'm like, okay, guys, how many of you guys have like my lunch? And the way the lunches worked, where they were split up into basically there was 3 periods that lunch could be 3, 4, and 5. But freshmen and sophomores only got half a period for lunch, so you had 3A and 3B, 4A, 4B, and 5A, 5B. And I asked all my friends, I'm like, oh, what lunch did you guys get? And none of my close friends got the same lunch as me. And I was thinking, well, the chances of that are probably about 50-50 of me getting one of my close friends in my lunch. I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. But everybody else somehow magically got together with someone. So I was upset about that. But anyways, so what I did was I was figuring, you know what, I'm just going to walk in blind, and hopefully I'll find somebody that I know or something like that on my first day of lunch. And sadly, I walked through the entire like lunch area once, and then I went all the way back, and then I was like, oh, I know nobody. Oh crap! So like this is kind of like a freshman's worst nightmare almost. I mean, walking in and not being able to find somebody to sit with at lunch. And the sucky thing about this is that the school that I went to had a ton of people, about 4,000 people. So there really wasn't very much extra room in lunch. So there weren't very many like open tables or something like that. So I went through and I looked back and forth and I walked around for probably like 5 to 7 minutes, and I couldn't find anybody that I even remotely was just like I could consider them somebody that I would even sit with. So I went to like a random table that had like a couple spaces open at the end, and I just randomly sat there and I ate my lunch. I was trying not to like eavesdrop on anybody or anything like that, but yeah, I sat alone for my first day of lunch. I was hoping that I was going to find somebody else eventually, or make some new friends or something like that, but for my entire freshman year, or for my entire freshman first semester, did not find anybody. Alright, so I sat alone every single time. You know, it sucked a little bit. For second semester, I was like, oh man, well, they switch up the thing, so I gotta have somebody in here for me. For this semester, same thing. Nope, nobody had the same lunch as me. I was like, oh man, this really freaking sucks. So now I was already kind of used to it though. I'm like, you know what? I sit alone at lunch every single day. I didn't have a phone either. Like some people like, why don't you just go on your phone or something like that? Like phones were not allowed in school at all. Not to mention that I didn't even have a phone until I was like 19 years old. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. I know it's weird to not have a phone, especially these days. You know, like everybody's got a smartphone. Back then, most people had smartphones, but not everybody. And my parents were way too freaking cheap to buy me a phone ever, man. I didn't have the internet until I was like 17 years old. So, yeah, crazy things happened in my life growing up. Anyways, moving on to second semester freshman year, same thing happened. I was just like, whatever, man. I'm just gonna sit alone at lunch. Another random crazy story, though, about high school is the very first semester, I got bumped up to honors math because I tested ridiculously high in math in my pre-test, my pre-high school test. So like, do you want to take honors math? I'm like, why not, dude? I'm smart. I can take honors math. So the first day, I remember very specifically, we took this weird test that like was supposed to like be a review of things that we've already learned. I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. Going from regular math to honors math was just ridiculously freaking tough. All the stuff that they were trying to teach me, I knew nothing even remotely about. Like, I didn't take the step before this to understand the step that we're trying to take now. So I was just completely lost about what the heck was going on. I'm like, I'm good at math. This just doesn't make any sense. So I was a little sad. I actually ended up basically, and plus I didn't do my homework very much. You know, I was kind of a lazy student, some might say. I'll admit it. So anyways, I basically failed out of honors math. I was just like, I need to drop this class. Like, I need to go back to regular math. Just let me go back to regular math. So that was like a kind of crazy situation for me to actually have to go down to like the counselor's office like as a freshman and already drop a freaking class. Like, this was crazy for me, guys. This was hard to do. But I did it. I dropped the class and went down to regular math. And luckily, believe it or not, I actually had a friend in my my math class. So, that was kind of sweet. Now, oddly enough, I went from this honors math class that I couldn't pass at frickin' all. I couldn't do anything in there. And one of the coolest things that I did, and I talk about this all the freaking time, just kind of propping myself up a little bit. One of the coolest things that I ever did was when there was some math homework that we had to do. And there's like 20 questions, 30 questions or whatever. And the last question was really difficult. And I remember sitting in class, because I finished the homework so fast. I remember sitting in class, like, thinking, how the heck am I supposed to do this one? This is really freaking difficult. So I couldn't do it the way that they wanted me to, but I used some, like, proportions, and I sort of guesstimated and used logic to figure out this math problem, right? And I remember the very next day I was thinking, like, dude, that was crazy. Like, what the heck, man? And the teacher ended up asking if anybody had any questions about the homework, and they're like, "Yeah, we couldn't figure out this last question." So the teacher went up on the board and was starting to try to explain it and everything, and then she got to a point and she's like, "I don't know how to do this. It doesn't make any sense to me." She couldn't figure out the problem. So she actually ended up watch this. This was a crazy play, by the way. Crazy play, man. Oh yeah, knocking down Moabs with blade maelstroms. Freaking cray. So basically, she asked, like, did anybody figure out the answer? Could anybody even get, like, the answer? She looked in the back of the book of what the answer was, and she said the answer was, like, what, 143 or something like that. And she's like, did anybody get anything? And I'm like, well, I got 142.2. I'm like, and then she's like, how did you get that? Like, whoa. And I started, like, trying to explain what I did with the proportions and stuff. And she's like, oh, man, nice job. And she's like, I'm going to give you some extra credit for that. So, like, awesome, this is amazing. I thought it was going to, and she said she was going to give me 5 points of extra credit, which in most classes would be pretty solid. I thought 5 points was going to be 5 points. It wasn't. It was 5 freaking percentage points on a quiz that was worth like 5 points. So I got like 0.01% points. It was just like completely garbage. But that's besides the point. I had a friend in that class, which was pretty freaking sweet. We ended up hanging out before class pretty much every single day. But the sucky thing about my freshman year is that I basically never saw my friends besides that. Once classes started, I didn't basically get to see anybody else the entire frickin' day. So my entire freshman year was kind of sad, I guess. It was very lonely. I didn't see very many people. I didn't talk to very many people, and I think this is one of the things that like made me realize, like, oh man, like I I couldn't make any friends. I don't know why. Maybe in high school they just didn't let us do group work as much or something like that. But I just wasn't good at making friends in high school, so I didn't. I didn't make very many friends then. Um, but anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about lunches a little bit. So finally, I get to my sophomore year, and I'm thinking, oh man, it can't happen again. I can't get none of my friends in my lunch group this time. But it did. I didn't get any of my friends in my lunch group my sophomore year. So I do remember though that I I didn't sit. Well, was sitting by myself. I was actually sitting alone by myself. But I got my own table this time, which was really sweet. So I do remember that a senior actually came by, and at the time I thought he was trying to mess with me and be a jerk and be a bully, and he asked if I wanted to sit with him, and I was just like, oh no, thank you, like I'm okay, thanks though, and that was the end of it. So I could have maybe had some cool seniors to sit with, and maybe they would have been my friends. Maybe, I don't know. I do recommend though that if you are a senior and you do see somebody sitting alone, you can ask them to sit with you if you want. I think that's a pretty nice thing to do. But like I said, I thought they were trying to be a bully to me. I thought they were trying to make fun of me, and I didn't want to go over there. And I have reasons for this. Like, for example, when I was a freshman, I do remember walking through the halls, and I was a pretty fast walker because I had to go from basically the north building to the south building, and there's always a bunch of people in the way, and like I didn't want to get tardies and crap like that. I was not a problem maker. I was the kind of guy I got to get from A to B. If I walk fast, I had people trip me in the halls. And of course, I'm the small little kid. Like they're just like, whatever. What's he gonna do to me? And they're bigger than me and everything, and I really can't do anything about it. So that's what I did. I didn't do anything about it. I just kept on my merry way. Just kept walking. Most of the time, though, I was thinking that it just must be an accident. They must have accidentally tripped me. But now, in post, it was not an accident. They definitely did that on purpose. And then another time, I was actually in between where the lunches are and where the hallway to get out of the lunches were. And this random guy, which I've never seen before, just kind of like sort of jogs by me and then slaps me in the face. And I was like, whoa. I like gave him like the Donkey Kong shrug, like what was that, man? Like I figured that he must have thought that I was one of his friends, and he was just messing with one of his friends. He's just slapping him just for fun. And then I look at the guy and I'm like, what? I'm not your friend. And he was just, I didn't say that, but I just looked at him really confused. He's like, what are you gonna do, man? And I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize people could be such jerks. I didn't realize people could be such jerks. So that's kind of why I didn't want to sit with the seniors. I thought they were just going to make fun of me or something like that. I thought they were messing with me. But I actually, you know what? Since I spent about 36 minutes talking about it, I only got to sophomore year. I will continue talking about this in a future video. If you guys are interested, please press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And of course, have a super duper delicious day.